Okay. The meeting will now come to order. Excuse me. Welcome to this meeting of the Charlotte Unified Development Board of Adjustment on Tuesday, March the 31st, 2026. My name is Deborah Dryden, and I am chair of the board. Would the board members please go around and state their names for the record?
Kevin Shea.
Amy Oisa.
Gary Young.
We have 4 members that are present, and that provides a quorum. Also present are Solomon Fortune, our zoning administrator, John Kinley, senior project manager, Crystal Monsegur, our planner, Kamisha Lampley, clerk to the board, Teree Hegler Gray, senior assistant city attorney and advisor to the planning staff, Paige Inman, assistant city attorney, advisor to the board, and Elizabeth Majors, our Veritex court reporter. Each of today's hearings is a quasi-judicial evidentiary hearing. That means it is like a court hearing. State law sets specific procedures and rules concerning how this board must make its decisions. These rules are different from other types of land use decisions like rezoning cases. The board's discretion is limited. The board must base its decision upon competent, relevant, and substantial evidence in the record. A quasi-judicial decision is not a popularity contest. It is a decision constrained by the standards in the ordinance and based on the facts presented. If you will be speaking as a witness, please focus on the facts and ordinance standards, not personal preference or opinion. General witness testimony is limited to facts. For certain topics, this board needs to hear opinion testimony from expert witnesses. These topics include projections about impacts on property values and projections about impacts of increased traffic. Individuals providing expert opinion must be qualified as experts and provide the factual evidence upon which they base their expert opinion. While hearsay evidence is not specifically excluded, it is only given limited weight. Parties with standing have rights to participate fully. Parties may present evidence, call witnesses, and make legal arguments. Parties are limited to the applicant, the city, and individuals who can show they will suffer special damages. Other individuals may provide testimony as witnesses when recognized by the board. Witnesses must swear or affirm their testimony. Any individual wishing to speak as a witness today was required to sign up. If you haven't done so, please do so now. The party to each case are entitled to an impartial decision maker. A board member may not participate in a hearing if they have a fixed opinion about the matter, a financial interest in the outcome of the matter, or a close familial business or associational relationship with an affected person. The parties to each case also have a right for any ex parte communication to be disclosed. Ex parte communication is any communication about the case outside of the hearing. That may include site visits as well as conversations with parties or the general public. At the start of each case, any potential conflict of interest or ex parte communication should be disclosed by the board member if applicable. These matters may also be raised by an affected party. Today's meeting will follow the order printed on the agenda. The order of the regular agenda will be as follows. All parties who plan to give testimony must be sworn in. A city staff member will present a summary of the case. The board may question the staff member, and then the applicant may question the staff member. The applicant presents their testimony for the case, and any sworn witnesses provide testimony. The board and city staff may question the applicant and their witnesses. Other parties wishing to speak for or against a case will be given reasonable time to present sworn testimony. The staff and then the applicant will be given an opportunity for rebuttal. After hearing each case, the board will review each case and render a decision. This is usually done in closed deliberations after hearing each case. The chairperson calls for a motion and a second to approve or deny the variance or appeal. In the case of an appeal, The chairperson calls for a motion and a second to uphold, modify, or reverse the administrator's decision. The decision will be made by a simple majority vote of the board. However, the board may elect to take up to 30 days to render a decision. You may remain present during the deliberations, or you may call the zoning staff after the session to receive the decision of the board. If you wish to receive a written copy of the decision letter, please indicate so on the sign-in sheet. All exhibits must remain with the board. If your case is not appealed to Superior Court after 30 days, you may pick them up or they will be destroyed. Appeal from this board is to the Mecklenburg County Superior Court. You have 30 days from the date of the board's written decision in which to appeal in accordance with NCGS 160D-405D. Okay. Let's get the staff, if you'll stand and let's swear you in before we start this real quickly. Okay, this time I will administer the oath for the individuals who intend to provide witness testimony. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the evidence you shall give to the board in this action shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. All right. We have two requests for deferrals for till next month, so we will handle those. The first is variance number 2026-0007 for Northway Homes LLC. Do I hear a motion to defer until next month?
So motion.
Thank you, Mr. Shea. Do I hear a second?
A second.
Thank you, Mr. Young. Mr. Shea,
Say yes.
Ms. Sun,
Sun, yes.
Mr. Young,
Young, yes.
Dryden, yes. So that variance is deferred until next month. We have an appeal that is asking for a deferral until next month. That is variance number 2025-00050 for 620 Queens Road Condominium Owners Association. Do I hear a motion to defer until next month?
Motion to defer.
Thank you, Mr. Shea. Do I hear a second?
Sun, second.
Ms. Sun, thank you. Mr. Shea,
Say yes.
Ms. Sun,
Sun, yes.
Mr. Young,
Young, yes.
Dryden, yes. So variance number 2025-00050 is deferred until next month. Thank you very much for those.
Or if there was anyone else here for either of those two cases, they're gonna be heard usually next month, so if you don't need to stay at the meeting unless you guys want.
Right. Thank you, Mr. Kinley. All right, moving on now, we will now open the evidentiary hearing for variance number 2026-0002. The property is located at 2962 Morning Drive. Before we begin, does any board member have a conflict of interest or potential conflict or any ex parte communication they need to disclose? All right. Thank you.
Ms. Dryden, will you
Yes.
also ask them if they want a continuance for the four?
Oh, I'm sorry. I wrote that on this side, but not on this side.
Thank you.
Mr. Murray, we have only 4 board members today. Do you wish to proceed or would you rather defer?
We're good to proceed.
Okay, thank
Thank
you,
you.
sir. I appreciate that. All right, Ms. Montague, you may continue.
Good morning, everyone. I'm presenting case number variance 2026-00002 to reduce the rear setback. The applicant is Andrew Ballo of Olympia and Wright LLC, represented by David Murray of Murray Law Firm, for property at 2962 Morning Drive, owned by Dynamis Investments LLC. The variance is to UDO Article Table 4-2 to reduce the required rear setback of 30 feet to 10 feet. It's a 20-foot reduction. Exhibit 1 shows the vicinity map. It is west of Charlotte in the Clayton Park and Pinecrest area. Exhibit 2 shows the aerial map. It is a corner lot off of Morning Drive and Farmer Street. The zoning map shows that the zoning is N1C, Neighborhood 1 zoning districts. And Exhibit 4 shows a Google Maps street view of the corner lot there that's currently vacant. Oh, thank you. And here's a bird's eye view of the property on the corner.
Where's the property line for that? Could you just,
Oops.
yeah, I want to see it on the aerial view that you showed.
Okay, right here is this one?
No, the next one. With the actual house on it or the property. One more. That one. Where's the property line? It's where the trees are?
John?
Yeah, it's kind of in the trees. It's not labeled on the map at all on this
Okay.
view. But it's basically the fence line to the right of that driveway.
Okay.
And then in the trees
Okay.
that you see in this image.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, John. The variance request here at table 4-2. The zoning is N1C. The required rear setback is 30 feet. And they're requesting a 20-foot reduction down to 10 feet. The applicant offers and agrees to the condition of the variance that the use of the property is limited to a single-family detached home and associated accessory uses and structures. And that's the variance request. Variance exhibit number 7 shows a survey of the lot. The proposed rear setback here is 10 feet. Without the variance, let me see if I can show you. I think this one is better to
Okay.
show you. Without the variance, it would be 30 feet. The rear setback, it takes up a lot of the lot. So without the variance, the buildable area is 913 square feet. With the variance request, reducing the setback to 10 feet, it brings it to about 1,489 square feet. Here is the variance criteria, if you'd like to look over the findings of facts.
Thank you. Okay, you may continue.
Thank you. Okay. Excuse me, just having a little trouble with the setback reduces the buildable area of the lot. As shown on the applicant's variance exhibit, the lot is located at an intersection fronting Morning Drive and a corner side along Farmer Street. The depth of the lot is 85 feet. Table 4-2 requires 30-foot rear setback. The rear setback, in addition to the required 17-foot front setback, reduces the depth of the buildable area of about 33 feet. The area of the lot within the setbacks is small, about 33 feet by 28 feet wide, which equals out to 913 square feet. If the variance of the rear setback was granted, the building envelope would increase to 1,489 square feet. So the hardship results from conditions that are peculiar to the property. The hardship is a direct result of the lot size. The lot is an existing lot of record and is legal non-conforming as it relates to lot width and minimum lot size. N1C zoning requires a 50-foot lot width and a minimum lot area of 6,000 square feet. What is currently on the lot is 49 feet in width and 3,560 square feet instead of the 6,000. The lot is not large enough to accommodate the rear setback while maintaining a buildable area large enough for a home. The hardship did not does not result from actions taken by the applicant or property owner. The applicants did not create the lot. And the requested variance is consistent with the spirit, purpose, and intent of the regulation in that the public safety is secure and substantial justice is achieved. The intention of the UDO is to allow for residential development of lots. Because of the UDO standards and lot size, the lot is currently unbuildable. The smallest rear setback for N1C zoning district is 20 feet. The requested 10-foot rear setback, while less than other N1 zoning, would provide the applicant with the space to construct a dwelling on the lot. The surrounding neighborhood is developed with single-family homes and duplex dwellings on some corner lots. The applicant has offered and agreed to the condition that the use of the property is limited to a single-family detached home and associated accessory uses and structures.
Can we go back?
Sure.
That first bullet's not true though, correct? Just want to make sure we're on the same page. The one you were just on,
Yeah, this one here, right?
no. The last page you were just on.
Okay, this one here.
The lot is currently buildable, it'd just be very small. I want to understand why you're saying that. It's buildable.
Yeah, it's buildable. It's just small. So we need to change that.
Maybe, well, we can, do you want to discuss that during the findings?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
just want to make sure that for nomenclature, it matters. Cause that pad on the left is 30 by 30 or so, something like that.
The total frontage on Farmer Street is 75 feet and you subtract out 30 feet from that.
Okay, thank you.
So I'm gonna mark that number 16. We'll come back to that when we do finding of facts, because we will need to correct that verbiage. Okay. Any questions for staff?
Yet another corner lot.
Yep.
I make a motion to approve.
Thank you, Mr. Shea. Do I hear a second?
Can we clarify with the condition?
Oh, goodness.
Yes,
I am rusty. My apologies. All right.
because
you.
the applicant has offered and agreed to the
Right.
condition that the use of the property is limited to a single-family detached home and associated accessory uses and structures.
I make a motion to approve with conditions.
Okay, Shea, with conditions. All right, do I hear a second?
1 second.
Ms. Sun, thank you. All right, Mr. Young,
Young, yes.
Ms. Sun, Mr. Shea,
Say yes.
Dryden, yes. So the variance is approved with conditions. All right, now looking at the conclusions of law, we need to look at number 16. And it says, because of the UDO standards and the lot size, this lot is currently unbuildable. So we need to,
Unreasonably buildable.
I don't know, we just need to take that sentence out altogether. The intention of the UDO is to allow for residential development of lots, period. Unless you have other suggestions.
I'm fine with that.
You're fine with that? Okay, so we're gonna strike, because of the UDO, the standards and lot size is currently unbuildable. We're just striking that sentence.
And then we had a repeated corner on number 18. The word corner is repeated in there. I just struck out the first of the two corners.
Okay, so surrounding neighborhood is developed with single-family homes and duplexes and duplex dwellings on some corners,
Yeah, some large.
some corner lots. Okay. All right, so we're striking the other corner. Thank you, John. All right, do I hear a motion to approve the finding of facts and conclusions of law as amended, number 16 and number 18?
Make a motion to approve the findings of facts
Okay, as amended.
as amended.
Okay,
Yes.
thank you, Mr. Young. Do I hear a second?
1 second.
Thank you, Ms. Sun. Mr. Shea,
Say yes.
Ms. Sund, Mr. Young,
Young, yes.
Dryden, yes. So we have approved the finding of facts and conclusions of law as amended of number 16 and number 18. Thank you very much. All right. All right, moving on to the recommendation item number variance 2026-00005 for property located at 6001 Quail Hollow Road.
All right, so, someone from CDOT will be up here shortly in case you guys have questions for that. So if you do have questions, we'll need to swear him in.
Okay.
But I can go ahead and get started covering the specifics of the case. So this is,
Hold on, John, sorry. Can we also advise this applicant about the 4 board
Oh,
members?
correct.
sorry, I thought that was.
Okay, Brian Canella, we need to have you affirm that 4 board members is an appropriate number to make a determination about this variance, or would you like to defer when we have 5? Go ahead, Mr. Canella. All right, I need to swear you in so you can say that. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the evidence you shall give to the board in this action shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? So help you God.
I do.
Okay. And so his name, Brian, would you spell your name for the court reporter, please?
Brian, C-A-N-N-E-L-L.
And Mr. Canal has affirmed that he will take the vote of 4 board members. Thank you, sir. All right, thank you, Ms. Inman. All right, I think we're ready.
All right, so it's application by Brian Canella of Benench on property located at 6001 Quail Hollow Road. It's owned by City of Charlotte Charlotte Mecklenburg Board of Education. It's currently has Beverly Woods Elementary School developed on the site, and they're seeking two variances from Article 15.4 KK, which is prescribed conditions. And that's to allow vehicular access from Heathstead Place, a local road, and then a variance from Article 19.6 A1BI to allow surface parking between the building and the street in the established setback. Here's exhibit 1 is a vicinity map of the property. This is off of Quail Hollow Road, south of Fairview Road, between basically Providence and South Boulevard and Park Road. Exhibit number 2 is a zoning map. The property is zoned N1A. And you can see in the zoning map here that property is surrounded by mostly multifamily zoning districts and uses around it. Exhibit 3 is an aerial map in Quail Hollow Road labeled to the east, and then Heathstead Place to the south. And you can see in the aerial the existing school building with the playfields at the rear. And for the variance request, again, they're seeking 2 variances, one from Article 15.4 KK to allow vehicular access from Heathstead Place, and then Article 19.6 A1BI to allow surface parking in the established setback. Applicants have offered and agreed to a condition of the variance that the additional landscape screening will be provided between the parking and the streets as generally indicated on their variance supplemental landscape plan exhibit that they provided. And the sections of the code that they're seeking variances from are described at the bottom of the slide. 15.4 KK is a prescribed condition for educational facilities. And in the neighborhood 1 zoning districts, it says that the primary vehicle access is only permitted from an arterial or collector street. Limited access roadways where allowed. So a local street, which is what he said place is, would not, under the strict application of the ordinance, would not allow the primary vehicle access to be from that road.
Can you show me, go back a picture? Now, show me where they want to,
It'll be easier on the site plan, but
Okay.
basically they want to be able to use these existing driveways on Heastead Place as their primary vehicular access point, which is what they use now as their primary vehicular access point.
for
They do-
buses or for cars?
It would be both.
Both.
So
okay.
they currently have a driveway off of Quail Hollow, but they use that currently only as an exit.
Okay,
But we have exhibits that show their circulation.
all right,
plan.
thank you.
John, where's your laser, buddy?
I left it at home.
Dude,
Yeah, I know, I'm sorry.
Extra one.
I can try to use the mouse to point at things. The design of parking, surface parking and parking lots is in Article 19.6, and then A1BI says that all surface parking lots are prohibited in the established setback along a primary frontage, and that's applicable to the neighborhood one zoning districts. So, and if you can go back to the aerial, you can see they already have existing parking between the building and the primary frontage, and they'll continue to be parking between the new school. So what is CMS proposing to do? Well, let me go back real quick. This is exhibit number 5, the Charlotte Streets Map exhibit, and it just is indicating that, again, Quail Hollow is the primary frontage and Heastead is a local street. So this is it's kind of hard to see maybe, but this is a circulation plan that they have. So there's multiple phases for this project. So what CMS is wanting to do is they're going to be replacing the existing school building. It was built, I believe, in like 1960 initially, 1969. It's on number 4 of the findings of facts. And then the addition, they did an addition that was completed in 1997. And so what they'll be doing is they're going to work to replace the existing school building with a new school. The new school building would be built to the rear of the existing school. And in the intermediate time period, they'll be moving students. Once the new school's built, they'll move students out of the old school into the new school. And then while they're working on demolishing the old school and putting in the play fields and those sorts of facilities in front of the new school building.
So they're basically flipping the
Essentially, yeah,
plan.
right.
Where now it's behind the school, it'll be, or the ball fields will be more in front of the school.
Correct. So currently on their existing circulation, it's a little hard to see, but the red and yellow are the, yellow is the bus circulation. Is there a way to move that out of the way? Red is inbound stacking, and green is exit, and blue is the loading zone. So on the top image, the current circulation, vehicular traffic comes in off of Heastead, circles around through the parking lot. There's the loading zone in front of the school, and then you exit on Quail Hollow. That's the current circulation.
so, John, I didn't understand, in the application, that wasn't clear to me. I was under the impression this was a temporary variance, but this is for a permanent variance.
Yeah, it would need to be permanent because the vehicular access point is not, it's straightforward. Like there's no time period on that. It's an ordinance requirement for that. Same with the parking.
All right, thank you.
And then in the temporary situation, they'll be having entry points off of Heastead. The buses would continue to circle around this parking lot kind of to the side of the school. The vehicular traffic would then be routed around behind the new school building and circulate and then exit back out the way they came essentially onto Heastead. And then in the final version of the plan, vehicular traffic would use the front driveway of Heastead, entering and circling around the little parking lot to the side, circling around the building or around the play fields, loading zone in front of the building, and then exit back on the Heastead. And then school buses would be using the back driveway, circle around the back side of the school, around the bus lot, and then back out the way they came. And the reason for this is mostly to improve some of the traffic circulation and get people out at the signalized intersection of Heastead and Quail Hollow Road. Whereas right now, everybody's exiting at an unsignalized intersection of the driveway and Quail Hollow. So it's very difficult for anybody to make left out there to go south on Bell Hollow. And then the parking, you can see there's parking here that would be between the building and the primary frontage, and then the bus lot would also be between the building and the primary frontage. So there is the two reasons basically for the variance requests. Here's a little zoomed in version of the final site plan. It doesn't show all the circulation, but you can see a little bit better how the vehicular traffic would come in on that front driveway, circulate around the staff lot, around the front driveway of the playfields, and then around the visitor parking lot, unload and unload, and then they would exit back out on that front driveway, and then the buses would use this the heavier pavement that's indicated on here around the back, and then circle around the bus lot.
John, is CDOT in support of this because of what you just said, to get them off the non-signalized?
So we have Travis Miller with CDOT here. If you have questions for him, I would defer to him about any sort of safety concerns or traffic circulation questions.
All right,
I
well,
would
let's
defer.
get him sworn in so he can tell us about why they approved of this. All right, sir, if you would, I'm gonna swear you in, please. So do you solemnly swear or affirm that the evidence you shall give to the board in this action shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? All right, would you please state your name and spell it for the court reporter, please? Okay, all right, Mr. Miller, I think we had a question about the reason that you're approving this. Is it to get it off a non-signal road? Is that one of the reasons?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
That's one of them. So upgrading this access point in their internal circulation allows for all the queuing to be internal. It places that those movements at a signalized intersection, which is a protected movement. So CDOT didn't have any issues with what they're proposing here.
And which one is the signaled? Is it the front driveway or the back driveway that's signaled?
So you
Signals.
the signal right here, is that
Oh, okay.
left turn lane, there's some striping, and that's the actual signal. So if they're coming off of Heastead Place, they would get back to the arterial via the signal.
see. Okay.
Yes.
So where does queuing happen today?
Queuing, you will see there, I think you have the
Go
old.
back to the original site plan.
See, queuing, part of it dumps out on Quail Hollow roadway at the top up there.
That's the exit. So their stacking right now is basically what's in red and yellow. Well, yellow is the buses, but red is the vehicular
I
traffic. So
can't see it either.
I mean,
It's too small.
I don't know if we have, it does say right here, 720 linear feet of stacking, 315 feet of loading and unloading zone. And then in the final plan, it would be 3,020 linear feet of stacking and 130 feet of loading and unloading zone.
Do you know if we have any opposition from neighbors today?
Didn't really need to know.
Is there anyone here in opposition to this rezoning?
To the variance.
I mean, the variance, I apologize, to the variance.
So what quadrupling the queuing means, are we gonna clear that intersection now?
So they'll have all of their sites queuing will be internal, so it won't be on the roadways. It'll be within the site.
So
So
that's a big win.
Yes, that's a big one.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
I wish we could do that for all our schools.
Yeah, I agree.
Do the queuing inside the property instead of out on the main roads, which is a hassle. Okay, thank you, Miss. Go ahead.
Just continuing, exhibit number 8 is the landscape site plan, and it shows the additional landscaping that would be provided. Some of that's required just for parking lot screening, but it does indicate additional plantings that they would be providing in the space between the circulation driveway and Quail Hollow. So they've agreed to that as a condition of the variance. And then on slide 9 is the variance criteria, and I can give you all a minute to look over the variance findings of facts before we move on.
Hey, John, not even that is even gonna sway my decision on this, but can you go back to that map that shows the three different? Yes, I'm reading, and I see up there, the top one is fall 26, summer 28, the middle one is fall 28, summer 29, and the bottom one is fall 29. That's the timing when all of this will take place?
That's what is proposed based on their exhibits. If you have specific questions about their phasing plan, I would suggest you open the floor up to the
Nah, it
applicant.
just seemed like we were approving a variance for 2029 essentially, but nah, that's cool. Look, I get it. I coach a country day. That's a headache right there getting out.
Okay, John, you may continue.
Right, exhibit 10, for the unnecessary hardships result from the strict application of the regulations. The strict application of the ordinance would require that the primary vehicular access be from Quail Hollow Road, which would prohibit any parking between the school and the street. Strict application of the UDO sections create hardship because the physical layout and operational requirements of the school's campus and maintaining the existing school while building a replacement make full compliance impossible. The new replacement school must be constructed behind the existing building and the only feasible location that allows the school to maintain operations throughout construction. Once the existing facility is demolished, the new building will have frontage on both adjoining streets and place all the required parking and stacking and vehicular circulation into areas that fall within the established setback. The sequencing driven by safety and operational necessities renders strict adherence to the regulations unattainable. Strict adherence to the primary vehicular access requirements of 15.4 would place both school bus and pickup drop-off traffic onto Quail Hollow Road. And Quail Hollow Road does not have turn lanes to safely accommodate a change to the traffic patterns. The layout of the existing school facilities and functionality during construction limit the ability to provide primary vehicular access from the arterial street. Exhibit 10 considerations. The hardship results from conditions that are peculiar to the property. Hardship arises from the unique site-specific conditions. The site has been developed with school and with parking between the building and the frontages and vehicular access from Heastead Place for over 50 years and before the legacy zoning ordinance and the UDO were adopted. Redeveloping entirely within the existing property boundaries while keeping the school operational constraints where the new building can be placed and how the traffic must circulate. The traffic analysis provided by the applicant further confirms that full movement access on Quail Hollow is not feasible due to the location of existing intersections and driveways and roadway functions, and the unique access configuration is peculiar to the property and is dictated by safety and function, not convenience. Exhibit 12 considerations. The hardship does not result from actions taken by the applicant or the property owner. The hardship results from the adoption of the ordinance regulations that prohibit parking in the established setbacks and mandate the location of the primary access points. The layout of the existing school facilities has been in place for more than 50 years prior to the adoption of the ordinance regulations. And the requested variance is consistent with the spirit, purpose, and intent of the regulations in that public safety is secured and substantial justice is achieved. As shown on the variance site plan exhibits provided by the applicant, granting the variance fully supports the core objectives of the UDO standards by improving public safety, traffic operations, and neighborhood compatibility. The redesigned campus would relocate vehicle stacking from the public streets onto internal driveways, and significantly reducing congestion and conflict points, and continued use of the existing signalized intersection rather than adding new turning movements and unsignalized driveways onto Quail Hollow Road enhances safe circulation during peak hours. And the applicant has agreed and offered and agreed to a condition that landscaping will be provided between the parking and the streets as generally depicted on the variance supplemental landscape plan. And exhibit provided by the applicant, and the landscaping will help reduce the visual impact of the circulation and parking in the established setback. And exhibit number 13 is the sign of the variance for the variance hearing in front of the property. And that concludes our presentation.
All right, any other questions for staff? All right, do I hear a motion to approve with the condition?
Yes. Before we do that, I have a question for council. I should know this answer. I'm sorry. They're asking for two variances, but one motion can take care of it.
Correct.
All right, I make a motion to approve the variances with the conditions.
Thank you, Mr. Young. Do I hear a second?
One second.
Ms. Sun, thank you, Mr. Shea.
Shay, yes.
Ms. Sun,
Yes.
Mr. Young,
Young, yes.
Dryden, yes, so it is approved with conditions, 2 variances under 1 approval. Thank you. And the finding of facts and conclusions of law as, including the condition number 18 that the applicant has offered. Do I hear a motion to approve the finding of facts and conclusions of law?
Motion to approve.
I stumbled over a word somewhere when I was reading the slide and I don't remember now which number it was. I'm trying to find it again. It was like a repeated word or an extra word in there. So
I did not see anything.
I wasn't.
I know what you're talking about.
In number 12, it looks like there's a 4 in there.
Should have been, this site has been developed for a school with parking between.
The site has been developed.
yeah, that's it. The site has been developed with a school with parking between, so just strike the word for.
Okay, strike the word for in number 12. Okay.
Thank you, Gary.
Okay, so a motion to approve the finding of facts with correction for number 12 and with the condition approved for number 18. Do I hear a motion?
Young makes a motion to approve the findings of fact with the change.
Thank you. And do I hear a second?
One second.
Ms. Sun, okay, Mr. Shea,
Shay, yes.
Ms. Sun,
Sun, yes.
Mr. Young,
Young, yes.
Dryden, yes. So the finding of facts and conclusions of law are approved as amended in number 12 and the condition in number 18. Thank you. All right. Okay, we're moving on now to variance number 2026-0009 for property located at 2033 Vinton Street. Very cold in here today.
You do have speakers in opposition signed up on this game.
We have, in opposition, we have, okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
Well,
If that's the case, we would need to remove it from the recommendation agenda.
yes, yes, so we need to move it from the recommendation agenda down to the
Full agenda.
full agenda.
Yeah, I think in that case, I would recommend we proceed with the recommendation agenda and come back to the.
Okay, we'll come back to that. All right, may Chair take a point of privilege? We need to pause for 10 minutes.
Okay.
Have to walk every hour. So this is not complaining.
They put your medal on that. Yeah.
It's a new hip. That's Tuesday.
Yes.
And it'll take me a few minutes to do this.
I've only had one sip of coffee.
Very much.
They were trying to apply also this fall. I imagine they so. Now. We find. This moment. They change it. This is the first thing that it's. Yeah. So they are those comments. It's beauty. Who's on that? Yeah, sure. Yeah, why have you in that situation? It's about so Belgium. It's to use it. So great. So yeah, he's so that's all about it. Thanks for having.
get back to the presentation.
Okay. Thank you. The meeting will come to order. We are now doing from the recommended agenda variance number 2026-00010 for a parcel located at 0 Statesville Road.
Yeah, it actually doesn't have an address, so
Okay.
that's typically how things are notated whenever there's no address, but it's we'll go to the next slide and I'll show you exactly where it's at.
No, I'm sorry, forgive me, if we could ask them about the four.
Oh, I apologize.
No worries.
Mr. Edlin, all right, do you approve, well, let me swear you in so you can testify. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the evidence you shall give to the board in this action shall be the truth, the whole truth and nothing but the truth? Okay, would you state your name for the court reporter, please? And spell it, please.
MANSOUR,
And are you okay with having just 4 members of the board, or would you like to defer when we have 5? Okay, thank you. He's going to proceed. Thank you, Ms. Inman, keeping me on task here. Okay, go ahead, John.
Hang on. All right, it's variance 2026-010 or 00010 North Point LLC, represented by Mansour Edlin of Mansour Edlin Consulting for a property located on Statesville Road, and it's owned by North Point LLC. And they're requesting, it's 4 variances, but it's all kind of from the same couple sections. And the reason why there's 4 is because there's basically several different areas on the property where they're doing different things. They're not all the same. So we've broken it down into 4, and you'll have to bear with me as I kind of go through and describe all 4 spots. But
Okay.
it's so variance from Article 15.4 LL3 to waive the Class C landscape yard along 300 feet of Statesville Road and 240 feet along Twin Lakes Parkway. And then a variance from Article 20.9, I think that's an I, to place the shrubs along the top of the slope on the backside of the curb along a portion of Statesville Road frontage, and place required trees for the Class C landscape yard between the property line and the fence. And a variance from Article 15.4 LL3 and 20.9 I to allow placement of the landscape yard behind the tree save area and waive the fence requirement along a portion of Twin Lakes Parkway. And then a variance from Article 15.4 LL3 to waive screening fence along the eastern lot line. I'll come back to those in a minute, but exhibit number 1 is the vicinity map. This is located at the intersection of Twin Lakes Parkway and Statesville Road, just kind of southeast of the big interchange of 77 and 485. Zoning map, exhibit number 2, the property is zoned manufacturing and logistics 2 zoning district, and it's abutting other manufacturing and logistics zonings. The use to the east, exhibit number 3, you can see on the close-up aerial, is a distribution center. I believe it's for like Michelin tires or something, and their truck court is abutting the property line in common with the site. And the site, as they've already started some grading work, and you can see that reflected on the aerial image. And then exhibit number 4, variance request. Again, the 4 variance requests are described at the top of the slide, waiving the Class C landscape yard along portions of Statesville Road and Twin Lakes Parkway. And I've got a map that shows where all this is. And then variance to place the shrubs at the top of the slope on the backside of the curb along the portion of Statesville Road, and place the required trees for the Class C landscape yard between the property line and the fence. And then variance to allow the placement of the Class C landscape yard behind the tree save area, and waive the fence requirement along a portion of Twin Lakes Parkway, and then to waive the screening requirement along the eastern lot line. So Article 15.4 LL3 says that outdoor storage yards require a Class C landscape yard, and this is from the prescribed conditions for outdoor storage yards. So it says that you have to place that landscape yard along all lot lines, basically all property lines of the lot, which is located unless Article 20 requires a higher class landscape yard. And then if the higher class landscape yard, regardless of whether or not it does or does not require a fence, you're still required to install a fence. So the ordinance says the landscape yard has to be along the lot line, and then you have to do a fence. And then Article 20.9I says that fence has to be within 18 inches of the property line. So exhibit number 5 is the variance plan exhibit. And this kind of breaks down where the different variance segments are. So the first one, the 240 and 300 feet frontage on Twin Lakes Parkway and Statesville Road is here and here. Again, this is the intersection right here of Twin Lakes Parkway and Statesville Road. It's going down this way. Twin Lakes Parkway is here. So the area where they're asking for a full waiver of the landscape yard requirement is in this segment here and this segment here. This is their proposed building in pink or red, whatever you want to call that. Blue is the stormwater BMP. And then yellow here in the back is the outdoor storage yard area. And then the 2 green areas here and here are tree save areas. The second segment that they're asking for modification to, so this is not a waiver of the requirements, but basically allowing a modification to the requirements, is along this 600-foot segment of Statesville Road. This is where they're asking for the shrubs that are required for the landscape yard to be placed along the basically the curb of the storage yard. So the storage yard will have a curb around it, and they're asking to place the shrubs here rather than within the landscape yard along the property line. And then the tree requirements would be between the fence, so it'll be shrubs at the back of the curb, fence next to that, and then the trees between the fence and the property line. And you'll see in the images, the photos, it's kind of the why of why they're asking for this modification. And it's mostly due to topography. And then the other segment on Twin Lakes Parkway, again, they're asking to here modify the requirements and waive the fence requirement. So they're going to provide the landscape yard plantings behind the tree save, but they're asking to waive the fence requirement here. And then along the southern or planned southeastern property line, they're asking to waive the fence requirement here. So for the reasons for the variance exhibit or for the variance request, the number 6 variance plan exhibit shows topography. You can see that there's pretty steep slopes that have cut slope here on the eastern property line. And then you can see the existing trees in this aerial, and those existing trees actually extend across both property lines here. And then you have the tree save area there. And then along Statesville, you can see the topography is sloping down towards Statesville Road. So the site sits elevated above Statesville, but sits below the property line in common with the distribution center to the east. And then, of course, in the front, they've had to do quite a bit of extensive grading to address the stormwater runoff in this area and the low point. And there's actually a pretty big ditch in the right of way right here. And this is where the outflow of the stormwater BMP would come out towards that ditch. And you can see that again in the aerial or the street view images that we have in the next slide. At the bottom of exhibit 6 are the cross sections of the landscape yard along Statesville Avenue. So the existing road grade is here on the right. You have your right-of-way line, and then they'd be placing the trees between the right-of-way and the storage yard, which is up the hill. And then the shrubs and perimeter trees and the fence would be basically at the top of the slope. And the reason for that is that would best screen the storage yard. If the fence is down here, then you would be able to see basically above the fence into the storage yard. Similarly, with the screening along the eastern property line, the grade of the storage yard is on the left. And they have their cut slope here. And then the existing grade at the property line is up the hill essentially. And then you drop back down the hill to the truck court of the distribution center. So there's like a natural berm essentially that's created along that eastern property line that works to screen the uses from one another. And there is again existing trees all along the top of that berm.
Is that the backside where they don't want a fence, John?
I'm sorry?
That right there, that imaging, is that the backside where they don't want a fence?
Yes, this would be where they're asking to waive the fence requirement along this property line. So this property line is this cross section.
Okay. Appreciate it.
And then this cross section is Statesville Avenue or Statesville Road, sorry. Here.
It's a lot of different grades in there.
So these are some exhibit number 7 and street view images from Statesville Road. This is kind of closer to the intersection with Twin Lakes Parkway. And here you can see the pretty big ditch that's in the right of way. This is their stormwater BMP, and this is the outflow for that stormwater BMP. This is Twin Lakes Parkway to the right of that image. And this is the building pad up here where these vehicles are currently parked. So everything is rising up into the site from the road. And this is the image from the lower images from further up Statesville Road. And again, you can see the slope up and the storage yard would be up here. Again, the ordinance requirements would have them put the landscape yard along the property line itself. So we'd be, landscape yard down here rather than up here where these existing trees are. Similarly, down here, the storage yard would be required around the BMP area and this ditch and slope. And instead, they're asking to waive that requirement because they're going to have visitor parking, customer parking, and their building would be located here. And the topography is a challenge to put in meeting the strict ordinance requirements here as well.
So you're gonna get a whole lot more screening with the requests that they're making as opposed to where it.
That's the intent, yes. Here's images from Twin Lakes Parkway in exhibit number 8. This is close to the intersection. Again, you can see that big ditch here, the stormwater BMP, their building pad, their storage yard would be behind the building pad. And then this is where their driveway would be off of Twin Lakes Parkway into the site. And then the lower image on exhibit number 8 is the tree save area that they're asking to place the landscape yard behind and waive the fence requirement. So the fence and the landscape yard again would be required through these trees about where that that's not silt fence, tree protection fence is. And then what they're asking for is basically to locate the required screening and vegetation behind that and waive the fence so they're not disturbing those trees. And then this is exhibit number 9 is a bird's eye of the eastern property line. Unfortunately, I didn't have a street view image of the truck court to really see the difference in topography here. But you can see there's a lot of existing trees along that top of that hill. The property line essentially runs kind of through here. And so in order to, protect the trees and not damage them, they're asking to waive the fence requirement. Exhibit number 10 is the variance criteria. I'll give you all a minute to look over the findings before I move on.
Okay, John, go ahead.
And you'll see in the findings, I kind of broke it down for each of the variance findings, or at least the first two, or the first one, and how the variance requests relate to the hardship being the strict application of the ordinance. So exhibit number 11, considerations: unnecessary hardship results from the strict application of the regulations. Statesville Avenue, or sorry, that should read Statesville Road. Well, must add Statesville Avenue on my mind. Statesville Road frontage, segment 1, and Twin Lakes Parkway frontage. The installation of the landscape yard conflicts with the site grading for the stormwater BMP. And the property in this segment is at a lower elevation than the building. Strict application of the ordinance requires the landscape yard to be installed along all property lines, and the installation of the landscape yard in this segment would screen the businesses, office building, and associated employee and customer parking, creating a hardship by limiting the visibility from the public street and the building and parking components of development which are not within the storage yard. Statesville Avenue frontage 72, the strict application of the regulations require the components of the landscape yard and fence, shrubs, and trees to be placed along the property line, and the edge of the storage yard is about 20 to 30 feet away from the right of way. And as shown on the Statesville Road Segment 2 cross section included in the variance plan exhibit, due to the site topography, the edge of the outdoor storage yard is at a higher grade than the right of way and property line. And the required trees for the landscape yard would be placed next to the right of way, will be placed to meet the ordinance requirements, and then place the shrubs and fence as required by the regulations would not screen the storage yard. And so they would place those at the top of the slope at this, along the storage yard. Strict application of the regulations creates a hardship by requiring components of the landscape yard where they would not serve a purpose, and the applicant's storage yard would still be visible from Statesview Avenue, Statesville Road again, without additional screening above and beyond the ordinance requirements. Twin Lakes Parkway frontage. Let me go over to the next slide here. Segment 2, the strict application of the ordinance would place the required landscape yard along the right of way at Twin Lakes Parkway, and the required placement creates a hardship by impacting the trees saved in this portion of the development plan. Installation of the required fence components would potentially damage the tree roots. And then eastern property line, the strict application of the regulation again requires that landscape yard along the property line. Regardless of the abutting use or zoning, the property to the east is zoned ML1 and developed with a warehouse and distribution use. As shown on the eastern property line cross section included in the variance plan exhibit, the grading for the proposed outdoor storage yard along the easterly side of the site has a 6 to 15 foot cut slope below the existing ground elevation at the lot line. And additionally, the truck court on the adjacent lot is significantly lower than the ground elevation at the lot line. And then as shown on the aerial images, existing trees are located along the property line of both properties. Installation of the required fence for the landscape yard creates a hardship by impacting the sensitive root zones of those trees. Exhibit 13 considerations. Hardship does not result from conditions, or does result from conditions that are peculiar to the property. The site's topography dictates the layout of the proposed development plan. The low point of the site is near the intersection of Twin Lakes Parkway and Statesville Road, meaning that the required stormwater BMP is placed in the intersection, near the intersection and the proposed building. The topography of the site grading for the development results in areas where strict application of the regulations would not screen the storage yard as intended. As shown on the aerial imagery, there are existing trees within the Twin Lakes Parkway tree safe area and along the eastern property line, and land disturbing activity is generally discouraged and prohibited where existing trees will remain in order to protect the health of those trees. Hardship does not result from actions that were taken by the applicant or the property owner because the applicant and owner did not create the site topography, the natural drainage pattern dictating the location of the stormwater BMP, location of the existing trees, nor the ordinance regulations that require the landscape yard to be along all the property lines. And according to Article 37.8A13 of the UDO, the act of purchasing property with knowledge that circumstances exist that may justify the granting of variance shall not be regarded as a self-created hardship. And then exhibit 14 considerations. The requested variance is consistent with the spirit, purpose, and intent of the regulations such that public safety is secured and substantial justice is achieved. The applicant proposed variance site plan exhibit proposes alternatives to the strict application of the regulations that work to meet the spirit and intent of the regulations, protect public safety, and provide substantial justice along the Statesville Road frontage and Twin Lakes Parkway frontage. The intent of the regulation is to screen outdoor storage yards from public rights of way and adjacent properties. The proposed building and the required parking lots landscaping work to meet the spirit and intent of the regulations to screen the outdoor storage yard from Statesville Road and Twin Lakes Parkway in these segments. Waiving the landscape yard in these segments supports public safety by allowing visibility for police and emergency services from the streets to the business offices and associated employee customer parking. The Statesville Road frontage for segment 2, the applicant's proposed plan places the shrubs and fence at the top of the slope along the edge of the storage yard rather than the property line, and works to meet the intent of the regulations to screen the outdoor storage yard from the Statesville Road in this segment. And then for Twin Lakes Parkway frontage, segment 2, tree save area combined with the additional planting of the landscape yards, trees and shrubs behind the tree save area works to meet the intent of the regulations to screen the storage yard and avoids land disturbance within the tree save area, protecting the existing tree canopy. And then for the eastern property line, the existing topography between the abutting warehouse, truck court, and the subject site creates a berm with existing trees that works to meet the spirit and intent of the regulations. And waiving the fence requirement prevents impacts to the existing tree zones and protects the existing tree canopy along the property line. Then the exhibit, already covered that one. Exhibit 16 is the photo of the sign at the property. And that concludes our presentation. Oh, okay. Was there any place else where we needed to correct that, or we got the wrong place? We had one correction to the request under at the top of the findings. It should be, instead of place the shrubs along the top, it should say shrubs and fence.
Where are you, John?
First page at the top under request, it's the second paragraph.
Okay,
It says place shrubs, and it should be shrubs and fence.
shrubs and fence, okay.
John, can you go back? to
What's
your
being
first-
built here?
Sorry?
What's being built here?
It's a storage yard and I think a contractor's office. I'm not sure exactly what the business is, but they'll have a storage yard associated with it. So
Go back to the first slide, please.
this one?
Third slide, I'm sorry. First, second graphic, next one, next one. Actually, that one's good. Either one's fine. This is, what is this zoned?
ML2.
And L2. And so it's open on the left. What's south? Open on the south too?
I'm sorry.
Is this all industrial?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, it's ML1 is to the east, ML2 to the south. There's OFC
There we
kind
go,
of
okay.
further to the east, but ML1 directly to the east.
And so the UDO is required, I'm just as my information. The UDO is requiring screening. And it's requiring fence as the screening?
So the UDO requires essentially a buffer, landscape yard, so landscape screening, which includes trees and shrubs. Depending on what class you are, it has a certain number of trees and shrubs that are required for every linear foot of property. And then the ordinance also says that in the case of a storage yard, not only do you have to provide all that landscaping, you also have to provide a screening fence, and that fence has to be 75% opaque. Let me go to the ordinance requirements. 75% opaque, constructed of wood post, planks, vinyl, brick, finished masonry or stone, and erected within 18 inches of the property line, along 100% of the landscape yard's length, with the exception of any ingress and egress points.
What I'm getting at is we're piling a lot of expense on the developer here. And I'm just trying to understand specifically why the UDO is requesting it. It is screening for a yard specifically?
A store, basically where you would have any kind of outdoor storage.
Outdoor storage?
Yeah, so like equipment, materials, debris from if they had like stuff from a work site that they brought back, anything like that could be in an outdoor storage yard. And so the ordinance is working to try to adequately screen those types of uses.
Okay.
And so those conditions apply to both outdoor storage yards when they're a principal use and also when they're an accessory to some other use.
But in this instance, it does, I mean, that would make sense if it was a flat piece of land. But this is not a flat piece of land because of the different gradings.
It is
I mean-
not, it is not a flat piece of land, and so
And screening really wouldn't do what what the ordinance wants it to do if you required the fencing along the property line, because it's so much lower than the topography for the yard.
And we do, the ordinance does give staff some administrative ability to make some modifications to landscape yards, but it's very limited in what we can administratively do, especially for when the landscape yard is required as a prescribed condition, rather than just a base ordinance requirement of, non-residential use abutting a residential use. We have more flexibility in those sorts of situations, but when it's required for a landscape yard and that prescribed condition specifically says you have to do a fence, we have a staff no administrative ability to modify where that fence can go or what type of fence it is, or where they can and cannot provide it. So that's why they're asking you all for the variance request, because you all have that authority to give them that exceptions and flexibility.
You've done no modifications. Staff has done no modifications.
We've not been able to do any administrative adjustments for this request.
And if we approve this, I mean, they're not gonna be able to come back and not put in what they say they're gonna put in.
If you all approve it, you would basically be approving the modifications to the plan that they are proposing
Okay.
and as depicted on their variance exhibit. And we don't have that as a condition, but if you guys, want to ask the developer if they would, commit to saying we will do it exactly how we show on our plan, that would be up to you all to ask them, and they would could or could not agree to.
Okay.
I mean, if they did anything outside of the plan and what we're approving, then it would be on the city to.
They would need to really come back to you all.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. Any other questions for John? Right. Do I hear a motion?
I make a motion to approve.
Shay, second.
All right, Mr. Young. Shay. All right, Mr. Young,
Young, yes.
Ms. Sun,
Yes.
Mr. Shay,
Shay, yes.
Dryden, yes. Okay, so the multiple variances are approved. As stated. Do we want to add anything to our finding of facts to stipulate that?
Absolutely not.
Okay, thank you. All right, for finding of facts and conclusions of law, we have to add in the second variance request on the first page, place shrubs and fence, and then amend all of this. It's not Statesville Avenue, it's Statesville Road. There's multiple places that occurs.
Right, we'll just do a blanket word search and replace for avenue with road.
Okay.
So that way we don't.
Well,
have to-
however you, but we want to approve the finding of facts and conclusions of law with those two amended amendments in there to add something in and fix that avenue to road. Okay, do I hear a motion to approve as we have amended?
I make a motion to approve findings of facts as amended.
Thank you, Mr. Young. Do I hear a second? Thank you, Ms. Sun. Mr. Shea,
Shay, yes.
Ms. Sun, Mr. Young,
Young, yes.
Dryden, yes. Thank you very much. That all those variances are approved. Thank you for joining us. Good luck with your building.
Thank you.
Okay, now. Let's see, we have one more under the recommended agenda. So we'll do that and then come back to the regular agenda. And this item is variance number 2026-00011 for property located at 110 North Irwin Avenue. Mr. Wright, are you here?
Yes, sir.
All right, Mr. Wright, there are only 4 members of the board. Do you accept the decision of 4 members, or would you like to defer for 5?
Wow.
Okay. All right, I would need to swear you in, please. If you would solemnly swear or affirm that the evidence you shall give to the board in this action shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
And would you spell your name for the court reporter, please?
Michael Wright, MICHAELWRIGHT.
Okay, Mr. Wright has given his approval for board members to make this decision. All right.
Good as a former employee. Am I good as a former employee and business associate? Yes. I don't know them personally, but.
I've
Former employee and business associate, I don't know them personally. I have any vested interest in this.
I think
Want to follow protocol.
the question is whether or not a reasonable outside party would consider that, to be conflict, and I think that it would be. I think to me, that it would be a conflict, yes. But that means that we will lose quorum and that this matter would need to be continued. So, I mean, if you're don't want to voluntarily recuse, then it would need to.
Yeah, I have no vested interest in this. I just wanted to follow protocol because like I stated, I know it was a conflict of interest with me serving on city council as an employee. Just wanted to make sure there was no.
Oh, you're an employee of.
No, as a former employee and a business associate. Do I have any no open business deals at the site?
Solomon, you have a comment? No. Tariq, do you have a comment? All right.
Go through the rules of procedure with the conflicts.
Is there a procedure in here?
Oh, it says here, let's see. All it says is, if there's the property, let's see, does any board member have a conflict of interest or potential conflict or an ex parte communication they need to disclose?
So
It is the procedure of this board that a recused member shall step away from the table. But if a party raises an objection, I don't know where it fits in here.
So the rules of procedure do say a board member who believes there may exist a conflict of interest shall declare their possible conflict and may ask for a determination by the board.
Okay,
So a majority vote of the remaining board members, excluding the members subject to the potential conflict, shall determine whether or not one exists.
okay.
So the three of you,
And what was his conflict?
As a former employee and business associate of Bank of America, I don't, like I said before, I don't have a vested interest in this, and it is a recommended item. I don't see any conflict in hearing it, but I would leave that to the board.
so the question ultimately for the board is whether or not a reasonable third party looking on would, consider this to be a situation where he could not make an impartial decision.
Well,
So.
I don't believe just an employment with an entity as huge as Bank of America.
Yeah.
Would influence this decision. Unless he worked in the property, in acquiring a property for the bank. I don't
at the moment, so
I don't see a problem personally.
Does the board have to vote?
Yes, and I would suggest that we let the applicant say anything that he
Okay.
would like to as well.
I also realized I was a former Bank of America employee.
So yeah, you is it? Yeah, I think he's been the CEO last week, so I'm like, I don't.
Okay, so I would say then that we have two to address, maybe giving any additional details that either are relevant. Get a quorum in Charlotte.
Right. I believe it's fair, especially where it's positioned on the agenda.
Gotcha.
Okay, is there any relationship that you have to the site?
Nope.
No.
No. All right, go ahead, Tariq.
And I would just also ask the applicant if they have any issue with these two individuals after hearing their disclosure proceeding with hearing the case.
We do not. We also have representation from Bank of America here today, and she's fine with proceeding.
I think we're
Okay.
good to proceed then.
All right, do we get all that? Okay. All right, so do we still have to vote?
So the both of them.
I don't think so in that.
Okay,
scenario.
no, we don't have to vote. Okay. All right. All right,
All right.
go John.
All right, this is an application by Fran Moreland of Bank of America, represented by Michael Wright of Balfour Beatty, for property located at 110 North Irwin Avenue. It's owned by Bank of America National Association, and they're seeking two variances. One from Article 12.3E, Table 12.4C, to allow the substitution of transparency requirements for the installation of a mural as part of the facade and reduce the upper floor transparency along North Irwin Avenue from 15% to 0, and reduce the upper floor transparency required along Trade Street from 25% to 9%. And then for our variance, Article 19.7C2, to reduce the occupiable space requirement on levels 2 through 6 to 0% on trade. And I think in the agenda, just for point of clarification, I think in the agenda it says active use requirement, and that should just say occupiable space requirement.
To reduce the occupiable space requirement, that's what
Yes.
it says on my copy.
Okay. All right.
All right.
Site is located in the I-277-77 loop on between Fifth and Trade at North Irwin Avenue near Johnson and Wales University. Exhibit shown on Exhibit 1 vicinity map. Exhibit 2 zoning map shows the property is zoned UC, Uptown Core Zoning District, and much as well as much of the surrounding property. Property is currently developed with a surface parking lot, as you can see on the exhibit number 3 close-up aerial. And the site has frontage on 3 streets: Trade Street at the bottom here of the image, where the streetcar tracks are. It's designated as an Uptown Signature Street and is subject to the standards in Table 12.4 for main streets. And then you have Irwin Avenue, which is designated as a secondary street and subject to the standards of 12.4 for secondary streets. And then Fifth Street, which is designated as Uptown Secondary Street and subject to 12.4's standards for secondary streets. And exhibit number 4 is the Charlotte Streets map, which just confirms those street designations. The Trade Street is Uptown Signature, and then Fifth Street is Uptown Secondary. Local streets in Uptown, again, are just blank, so that's what Irwin Avenue is. Variance, again, from Article 12.3E, 12-4C, to allow the substitution of the transparency requirements with the installation of a mural as part of the facade and reduce the upper floor transparency on North Irwin Avenue from 15 to 0, and reduce the upper floor transparency along Trade from 25 to 9. And then a variance to Article 19.7C2 to reduce the occupiable space requirement on levels 2 through 6 to 0% along the Trade Street frontage.
All right, but
sorry.
this is a parking lot, right?
It's currently a parking lot, and they're proposing a parking deck.
Oh, okay, that's where I was confused. You kept talking and I didn't understand why we were, okay.
Sorry, should have mentioned that. So as
Parking deck, okay.
part of the proposed parking deck, they will be installing a mural, and that's depicted on the applicant's variance plan exhibits. And the condition that they've agreed to is that they would provide that mural as generally depicted on the applicant's variance plan. And then again, those ordinance requirements, Table 12-4 for activity center zoning districts and the UC zoning along a main street, which is what standard is used for the Trade Street frontage, Signature Street. They're required to have 25% upper floor transparency along the walls of the building or the structure. And then upper floor transparency along secondary streets is 15% required. And basically what that means is, by transparency, that means clear glass windows, essentially. Think shop front sort of glass that you can see through. There are other options, but that's the most easily recognizable example. And then in Article 19.7C2, that's for parking structure design standards. And it requires that all floors be wrapped, requires 70% of the facade above the ground floor along any frontage to be covered with occupiable building space, a minimum of 20 feet in depth. And that does not apply to any portions of the facade above the 6th floor. So essentially floors 2 through 6, you have to have the 70% of occupiable space along basically a 20-foot depth of your parking structure.
So what does that mean talk to me in real language? What is that?
So occupiable space, I thought we had a definition in here somewhere.
So they're looking to build a
It's more than 6 stories. So let me just skip ahead a little bit just to answer your question.
Good
So it's
grief.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Looks like 9 stories parking structure. And so on the first floor, they're meeting the ground floor requirements for parking structures. But on that levels 2 through 6, you have to have this area that's 20 feet deep is minimum. That's occupiable space, and it can be like offices or hallways, bathrooms, basically places that people would be rather than cars.
Oh, but they just want a parking deck.
Right. There would be a parking structure is what's proposed, and that's the primary objective is to provide parking for the campus around it that the site's located. And again, it's a surface parking lot now. So basically increasing the amount of parking available in the area. Let me go back a couple slides. Exhibit 6 is the parking deck floor plan and the occupiable space. So with the ordinance requirements, you could see that this depicts like what the floor plan looked like if they're along Trade Street, if they were to have to meet the ordinance requirements, the strict application of the ordinance requirements. And that area, basically along that frontage and levels 2 through 6 would have area that could be used for things other than vehicles. And then on the left is with the variance request. And essentially what that would do is you would, with the ordinance requirement, they'd be losing parking spaces on every single floor within those floors. I think it's in the findings somewhere. Let's see. Let's see.
Well, let me ask, what's the purpose of having in a parking deck, having that open, that space? I mean, what was the thought behind the ordinance that said we should have that open space?
I'm not sure where that standard comes from, so I'm gonna maybe Solomon knows.
So the intent of it would be that you'd be getting access, that you just wouldn't be getting parking along any of those public street frontages.
Oh, okay.
But it's not activity that would be directly accessible from people walking along the street.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
It's more of a visual for pedestrians and other cars traveling along the road.
Because if you think about it, what was happening in the former UMUD, it would be, you were just getting large scale buildings right next, not relating to that public realm and that the pedestrian scale along.
But it's the mural that they want to put is not fronting any of this.
It does.
Does it front
It
some of-
wraps the corner of Trade and Irwin. So it's it's on the corner essentially of the parking structure.
Six, right?
Yes.
Sorry?
Those additions, as you just showed us, that's levels 2 through 6.
Yes.
Cavity, it has no implication to the street.
Right. Yeah. This is upper floors of the plan, not the ground floor. The ground floor, they meet the ground floor requirements for active space and active uses.
Okay.
Is this serving the Greenway Center?
It serves
Gateway Village.
Gateway Village.
Yes, I'm sorry, Gateway is what I meant to say.
Yeah. So it basically results in a loss of 49 parking spaces per floor on the entire structure if they are required to do the occupiable space. And I'll get into the details of how that mathematically works out whenever we get into the findings.
Okay.
Exhibit number 7 is the transparency comparison. So on the left-hand side is required without the variance, and what's green essentially is the areas where they would be required to provide that clear glass transparency to meet the requirement of 25 and 15% of the frontage. And then what you see on the right-hand side is the proposal with the variance, again, kind of depicting that mural to essentially offset that visual interest that you would get with the transparency and occupiable space. Exhibit number 8 is exterior elevations. Again, just another view showing the area where the mural would be and the proposed, as it relates to the proposed parking structure. And along those street frontages, the upper left hand is the west elevation. This is the north elevation. Upper right hand image is the east elevation, and then this would be the yes, north elevation.
The west elevation is facing trade,
Believe so.
Yes.
correct? Okay.
Okay, yeah.
And where does the entrance and the exit, where do the cars come out, on which street? Is there going to be more than one entrance to this?
It looks like the vehicular access points, there's one on the east elevation, sorry, the west elevation and the north elevation.
Okay.
That would be along
Fifth Street.
Irwin and Trade.
Okay. All right.
Exhibit number 9 is the variance criteria, and I'll give you all a minute to look over those before I dive in.
While we're doing that, John, just help me understand why staff is in support of this.
So they're basically the site, the way the site is sized and the shape of the property to meet the ordinance requirements would be a hardship to meet those ordinance requirements for the occupiable space. They would, it basically restricts the amount of space they can use for the parking structure. And then transparency wise, it's more about safety concerns than anything else, is having to put in that the transparent glass.
Okay. That's what the UDO is, that's what it requires, now it's stated, correct?
Yes.
But I can see somebody driving through.
Just, think about it as based on the size of the property, when you start putting in 80,000 spaces, so it's kind of I like to call it the law of diminishing returns, because at some point we're asking a client or we're asking a developer to say, hey, put in this active spaces. If you got larger, so for example, if you got larger space, like if you had a whole city block, not a big deal, because then we probably wouldn't be supporting this, because now you would say, hey, we want this active space on the streets. But when you start getting these smaller parcels and someone that says, hey, I'm doing this just for parking for my buildings that are already around, you start then wondering, hey, how much of that active space you really get? Because now what starts to happen is you start losing parking spaces, and now trying not to get into the value and cost, but that's really what it's kind of those things.
I thought you were going to say that the demand for parking is so immense that we need those 49 spaces. I thought that's what you were going to say.
Well,
I knew you were going to say it. I thought that's what John was going to say.
well, you try, I guess to say so that way we're not getting you in trouble with talking about financial people, but I guess to say when you start talking about costs of parking space, things like that, the more parking in that, so the city, it's not.
It benefits the city if anything we can take off the traffic, off the streets, parking and so forth, that helps, yeah? So okay. Thank you.
Okay, I guess I was baffled, in which I totally understand, and I'm not gonna agree nor disagree with that sentiment. I just know of developments similar in nature, particularly on that Betty's Ford corridor, that have gone through situations where parking was a nuisance, and the city has specified designs that limited the parking. So was just curious how that fit, but
I think here's where there's two different contexts in Beatty's Ford. So at one point, depending upon when Beatty's Ford was being developed, it was under it was pedestrian overlay. And yes, the pedestrian overlay said you didn't want a lot of parking in front of buildings. You wanted more that active uses. Whereas in Uptown, we are saying, we understand that, hey, you're going to get these large scale parking debts for that.
Okay, appreciate it.
All right, go ahead, John.
It's Exhibit 10, considerations. Unnecessary hardship results from the strict application of the regulations. For the transparency portion of the request, strict application of the ordinance regulations would require the installation of glazing systems directly adjacent to vehicular circulation. According to the applicant's variance application, the installation of the glazing systems causes a safety risk and a liability exposure to the owner and the applicant, as the glazing systems are not intended for high impact environments such as parking or garages. And then as further described below, the impact resistant glass can still crack or delaminate under typical garage conditions, creating hazards that require immediate mitigation, even if the glass remains in the frame. Think about, the vibration of a vehicle going up and down the ramps. The framing and anchorage systems are vulnerable to stresses common in a garage, including vehicle bumps, vibration, thermal cycling, exhaust exposure, de-icing, salts, and repeated micro impacts that can compromise the integrity of the glazing system. Impact-resistant glazing is designed for isolated high-force impacts and not repetitive low-level contact and vibrations common in parking or garages, which gradually weaken both the glass and support systems. And environmental conditions in the garage are harsher than on typical building facades, including significant temperature swings and corrosive salt exposure, elevated humidity, concentrated exhaust particles, and factors which accelerate deterioration. Damage of the glazing system creates a safety risk, requiring the affected area to be cordoned off, inspected, and remediated, and such disruptions will interfere with the traffic flow and pedestrian circulation and safe access within the facility. And for those reasons, strict application of the regulations requiring the installation of the transparent glass adjacent to the parking areas creates a hardship. For the occupiable space variance, the strict application of the regulations require provisions of occupiable space, a minimum of 20 feet deep on levels 2 through 5 of the parking structure. And per the applicant's application, the industry standard for occupiable space would have a minimum depth of 65 to 75 feet. And in order for the structure to accommodate that occupiable space that's practically usable, in alignment with those industry standards, the length of the parking structure ramps used to traverse the between the levels of the deck would need to be compressed to approximately 50 linear feet by approximately 50 linear feet. As proposed, there's only 11 feet of distance that the structure could be expanded before encroaching upon the building setbacks, and thus and shortening the parking structure ramps to overcome that the inability to expand the structure would increase the slope of the ramps to angles that do not allow for parking, resulting in the loss of approximately 49 parking spaces per floor throughout the entire structure. So in other words, they can't expand it lengthwise to meet that, to provide the space for that occupiable area. So the other alternative is to compress the parking and the ramps so that you have the space within the structure as proposed. But if you do that, then your ramps have to get steeper, and making the ramp steeper reduces the amount of parking that you can do per floor because your ramps are too steep to park on the ramps. If your ramps are shallower, then you can park, along the ramp itself. And that is where that change in the parking counts come from. Hardship does result from conditions that are peculiar to the property. This is Exhibit 12 considerations. For the transparency variance, the spirit or the site of is part of the larger Gateway Village campus and provides vital parking for the campus. The site has frontage on 3 streets with transparency requirements and results in more area requiring glazing systems, which increases the safety and liability concerns. Occupiable space variance is the size of the site and the application of the frontage setbacks along the 3 streets restricts the building envelope such that providing occupable space 20 feet in depth on floors, that should read 2 through 5, would require shortening of the parking structures.
I'm sorry, wait, go back 2 through 5 or 2 through 6?
2 through 5 is what's required. Anything above the floor of 6 is not required.
So what do we want to say here on floors 2 through 6 or 2 through 5?
It's floor.
Okay, so just stay as is.
Floor on floors.
Okay.
Yeah, I guess floors 2 through 5, levels 2, floors 2 through 6, levels 2 through 5. But yeah, since it's floors, we'll say 2 through 6.
Okay.
Sorry for the confusion there. So the dividing line is the floor of level 6. If you're above levels, if you're the floor of level 6 and above, then you don't have to provide the occupable space. If you're below the floor of level 6, you do. So the levels 2 through 5 are the levels that have to have the occupiable space.
So is it written correctly then?
I would say it's written correctly in 12.
Okay,
Well, what about the request? The request says levels 2 through 6 to 0% along West Trade.
We should probably change levels to floor in the request then. That or we change the word floor to levels on number 12.
all right, let's do levels on
Level.
floor, levels. So for number 12, we're changing it on levels 2 through 6. Okay. Okay.
Where was I?
You're on 13.
Hardship that results in condition of good property. I think I covered that. Hardship does not result from actions taken by the applicant. The subject site was purchased in 2020 and by the current owner predating the implementation of the UDO and the zoning translation of the site to UC zoning. And the hardships created by the conditions of the property and application of the UDO could not have been known at the time of purchase. Regardless, the act of purchasing property with the knowledge that conditions exist that warrant the variance shall not be considered a self-created hardship. And then exhibit 13, considerations. The requested variance is consistent with the spirit, purpose, and intent of the regulations such that public safety is secured and substantial justice is achieved. The applicant has offered and agreed to condition that a mural as generally depicted on the variance plan exhibits would be provided. For the transparency variance as shown on the application plan exhibits a mural that it's approximately 90 by 90 in size would wrap along Trade and Irwin frontages as proposed in the variance request to substitute the percent of the facade comprised by the mural in lieu of the facade required to be glazed. The provision of art in lieu of glazing would be in the spirit of the UDO as it provides a visual interest and enhances the pedestrian experience along the streets. And the mural will be accented by decorative metal panels and features. The proposed garage will experience constant vehicle and pedestrian traffic as it's expected to serve 800 plus daily employees and visitors to Gateway Village campus. Thus, the glazing system would be exposed to conditions that elevate risk for damage and safety. And the requested variance will reduce the amount of glazing, ensuring public safety. For the occupable space variance, the site is part of Gateway Village campus, and the site and proposed parking is a component of the mix of uses within the village campus. Occupable space that is 20 feet in depth is practically too small to provide a practical amount of area for occupable space and would compromise the design of the parking structure and reduce the number of parking spaces on every floor in the proposed development that meets the ground floor active use requirements along the ground floor and the ground floor uses and the provision of parking that supports the broader mix of uses in Gateway Village is consistent with the spirit of the regulations. That concludes our presentation. Exhibit number 14 is the picture of this sign at the property.
Maybe I'm slow today. If I'm looking at, I'm findings of fact for 9 and 12 and the request, they seem to read differently to me. 9 says on levels 2 through 5. And 12 says on floors, we're going to change it to levels 2 through 6.
It should be levels 2 through 5 and 12.
2 through 5.
Yeah, it should match 9.
Okay. And
And then on the request on the first page, it should be 2 through 5.
2 through
as
5.
well.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, levels 2 through 5, okay. And I just want to make sure that when we get to that we make that we, with the condition that a mural be provided. I know it says the applicant has offered and agreed. If you want to say, I want to make sure that the mural is a condition. All right. Any other questions for John?
All right, I'll make a motion to approve with the condition.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Young. Do I hear a second?
1 second.
Thank you, Ms. Sun. Mr. Shea,
Shay, yes.
Ms. Sun,
Yes.
Mr. Young,
Yes.
Dryden, yes. So we have approved the variance. And now the finding of facts and conclusions of law. All right, there were a couple of amendments on the very first page, the second variance needs to read requirement on levels 2 through 5. And then on number 12, it should read levels 2 through 5. And we are highlighting the condition that a mural as generally depicted on the variance plan exhibits will be provided, however you want to word that, but I want to make sure that we know that there's going to be a mural there. All right, do I hear a motion to approve the finding of facts and conclusions of law?
I think one more in
One
number
more.
6 also said levels 2 through
Which one?
6. Number 6, the last sentence.
Oh, so levels 2 through 5, okay.
Just want to be sure the applicant is okay with that. Okay, so acknowledging yes. Okay.
Okay,
Make a motion to approve findings of fact with
Con-
text changes.
A second.
okay. Mr. Young,
Young, yes.
Ms. Sun, Mr. Shea.
Say yes.
Dryden, yes. All right, so the finding of facts and conclusions of law are approved as amended as amended. Yes. All right, we'll take 5 minutes before we do the last of the last case. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for. Thank you.
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
sue me, whatever, and then just weaseled out of it and ended up selling to the current owner.
Okay,
I didn't sue her for specific performance, because that was too much. I was dealing with other stuff at the time, but I let it go.
That's-
So I wanted to disclose that. It's not gonna affect how I view it. It's been 3 years, but I just want to disclose that.
None of the parties.
I don't
Or-
know any of the parties
Yeah.
except the previous owners.
so you don't know the current property owner?
I don't know that except that they bought it from under me.
You don't have any relationship with the applicant? If do you have a relationship with the app?
I don't have any relationship except the fact that they bought it from under me.
She's like, she don't know these people's thing.
Feel like, yeah,
Do you think you can be impartial in
It's
reviewing
fine.
the
It's been long
variance?
enough. Yeah.
Okay. And I'd ask is the applicant here? And I think the applicant needs to go to the table, since this
Yes.
is not on the recommendation agenda.
Because I need to.
You'll
swear
need
you
to
in.
present your case and sit at that table so that you can present your case.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we were back in session now. All right, sir, I need to swear you in.
Yep.
So if you would please,
Okay.
yeah, that's, yeah.
yeah, I'll swear him in a minute. We'll ask 2 questions. Okay. Where's my paper that says the thing I need to say? Oh, here it is. Okay, do you solemnly swear or affirm that the evidence you shall give to the board in this action shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
All right, and please spell your name for the court reporter.
Giovanni, Giovanni, last name Luna, Luna, and Garcia, Garcia.
Thank you. All right, now, there's a question of possible conflict of interest that we need to discuss. All right, what? Ms.
Yeah, I think that you heard the conversation about board member's son having or she was under contract
Yeah,
to purchase
I heard
this
the
property.
Yes.
Do you have anything that you would like to say in response to that?
No.
Or do you have any concern with potential conflict in that scenario?
No concern.
I do think that the board still needs to make a determination in regards to whether Ms. Student has a
Let me see.
conflict, whether or not she would need to recuse.
Okay.
Again, the question being, is there a close business personal relationship with the applicant, or could a reasonable third party looking in find this to be a situation where she would not be impartial?
Okay, so, well, Ms. Sun has stated that she believes she can be impartial, that she does not have a relationship with the current property owner, but with the previous property owner, who's not involved in this case, correct?
Yes.
That's right.
Okay, Mr. Shea, do you have comment about this?
I think her insight would actually be very valuable. She
Okay.
knows the property well.
Okay, Mr. Young? Okay, all right, so let's, someone make a motion that, to what, how do?
I think we can just say that there's a consensus of the 3 board members that there's not a conflict of interest.
Okay, all right, as chair of the board, I will say that there's a consensus among the 3 remaining board members that there is no conflict of interest from Ms. Sun at this time. The property owner has agreed that he does not see a conflict of interest. And so we will move forward with the property.
If we could also ask him about there only being 4 members here.
Yes, and Mr. Luna Garcia, there's only 4 board members here. Are you satisfied that we can make a decision on this, or would you like to defer it when there's 5 members here?
No, we can proceed.
Okay, all right, he agrees to proceed. Got that, Ms. Court Reporter? Okay, good. All right. Okay, go, Ms. Montague.
All right, this is case number variance 2026-00009 to reduce the front and rear setbacks. The applicant is Ray Ashberg, represented by Giovanni Luna Garcia of De Luna's Construction Corp. For property located at 2033 Vinton Street. And just for the record, it's two parcels and it's on the findings of facts, but I'm gonna state it. It's parcel 07507-432 and 07507-425. And that's owned by Ray Ashberg and Amy S. Ashberg.
Okay, wait a minute. Now, where are the parcel numbers?
You can see it in the findings of facts, parcel ID numbers, it's under the address.
Under the address.
So it's correct on the
Okay.
findings of facts, but
Okay, two parcel numbers. Okay.
yeah, PowerPoint doesn't have it, so I'm just saying
Okay.
it for the record. There's two variance requests, one it's from Article 4.3, Table 4-2, Row A, to reduce the front setback of 17 to 10 feet. It's a 7-foot reduction. The second variance is from Table 4-2, Row D, for setbacks to reduce the rear setback from the required 30 feet to 10 feet, a 20-foot reduction. Here's the vicinity map. In Exhibit 1, it is west of 77, northern Charlotte, south of 85 area. Here's the zoning map. It is N1C zoning. These are the two parcels here. Okay. And this is the Google Street Map. I just wanted to scroll down real quick to the photo I took of the house now, compared to what it showed on the Google Maps. It's pretty dilapidated. And it was built in 1921. They would like to propose to demolish the existing structure, recombine the parcels to correct the zoning violation and construct a 2-story duplex on this site here.
Where's the property that butts it? Is it to the left?
It's this house right here.
Yeah, but the overlaying parcel, you said there's two parcels.
Left.
To the left.
To the left, yes, excuse me.
Okay.
Sorry, misunderstood. And here's the variance request to Table 4-2. The front setback is 17 that's required. They'd like to reduce it to 10. And the rear setback is 30, and they'd like to reduce that to 10 as well. And here in Exhibit 5 is the proposed plat. What you see in purple is the proposed building envelope. The proposed rear setback is 10 feet here, and the front setback is here. What I want to point out is the distance, without the variance, the front setback is 17 feet, and it goes up to this line here. And then the rear setback line is 30 feet, and it stops there. So it only gives 2 feet of depth, and then 64 feet of width, for a total area of 128 square feet. That's without the variance request. But if you were to reduce the front and rear setbacks, the building envelope would be 28 feet and in depth, and the width would remain 64 feet for approximately 1,792 square feet. Excuse me, this. Okay, and here's the proposed site plan. The rear setback is back here, and the front setback is here. These are the proposed driveways. And it's going to be a 2-story duplex on the lots with 5-foot setbacks.
So where's the side yard setback?
Sorry, I'm having technical issues with this. Okay, got it. Thank you. The side setbacks are here. 5-foot side setback. These are the side setbacks.
She's using a pointer.
Yeah, I think so. So on the right side, the corner of that garage or driveway is right on the property line?
On the setback.
On the setback, I mean.
It's on the property line. The corner of the driveway would go up to the property line. And that's allowed. Those driveways don't have to meet setback
Oh,
requirements.
okay.
Thank you, John. Here is the zoning map. This single lot is legal non-conforming. The proposed plat that you saw where they wanted to combine the lots would correct the zoning violation. And here are the standards for granting a variance, if you'd like to look over your findings of facts.
The combined lot is 6,000 feet. Combined lots.
The combined lots.
To get conforming, you need to get 6,000.
Correct. Conforming, meeting the standard, the ordinance would be 6,000 square feet. The
Yes.
combined lot would still be legal non-conforming. Right now, 2 parcels, that's a zoning violation. So they're recombining the 2 parcels. That corrects the zoning violation because the lots were, the original legal non-conforming lot was divided by deed to create the 2 parcels. So they would be fixing that by combining it back into 1 parcel to go back to the original legal non-conforming lot, which is like, I don't even know how big it is.
Still not.
3,000 square feet.
It'll still be
non-conforming.
It's still non-conforming lot. Yeah.
without so
The variance has nothing to do with the lot size or in terms of the non-conformity with the lot size. The variance is all about the setbacks, making it basically, in this case, a truly unbuildable lot unless you want to have a 2-foot wide house.
but it would still be a non-conforming lot.
Yes, it would be. And that's permissible under the ordinance.
Oh, okay.
You can build on a non-conforming lot if you meet the
Legal
setback
non-conforming,
requirements.
okay. Okay, go ahead.
Unnecessary hardships result from the strict application of the regulation because the front and rear yard setbacks restrict the building envelope. The building envelope without the variance is 2 feet in depth and a width of 64 feet with a total area of approximately 128 square feet. The variance to the front and rear setbacks would increase the depth of the building envelope to approximately 28 feet, and the width would remain approximately 64 feet for a total area of approximately 1,792 square feet. Strict application of the required 17-foot front setback and 30-foot rear setback significantly reduces the building area, resulting in a shallow building envelope. Applying both setbacks to the combined lots of this step leaves a narrow strip that is not feasible for the proposed duplex and is not consistent with the surrounding residential development. The hardship results from conditions that are peculiar to the property. Because of the shallow lot depth and property, once recombined to correct the zoning violation, is a legal non-conforming lot created prior to the adoption of the Legacy Zoning Ordinance and Unified Development Ordinance. The hardship does not result from general neighborhood conditions, but from the unique depth and non-conforming history of the property. The hardship does not result from actions taken by the applicant or the property owner. The lot configuration and shallow depth were established before the current ownership and prior to the adoption of the ordinance. The hardship was not created by any action of the applicant or property owner. The property owner is taking remedial action by recombining the zoning violation lots and bringing the property back into compliance as a single legal non-conforming lot. The physical constraints of the lot existed prior to purchasing the lot and are not self-created. Per the UDO standards for granting a variance in Article 37(8)A 13, Roman numeral 3, the act of purchasing property with knowledge that circumstances exist that may justify the granting of a variance shall not be regarded as a self-created hardship. The requested variance is consistent with the spirit, purpose, and intent of the ordinance and that the public safety is secured and substantial justice is achieved. The proposed two-story residential duplex is compatible with the surrounding residential context and does not impede neighboring properties. The rear of the lot abuts the rear yard of two parcels, one facing Boone Street and the other facing Fairmont Street. Granting the variance would not alter the essential character of the neighborhood. And Exhibit 11 shows the sign posted on the property.
I think that fund consistent with surrounding residential development as opposed to consistent with residential history of that neighborhood. Nonetheless, can you go to that one right there?
Okay.
The orange is what would have to be if we didn't grant the variance. And what you have listed proposed, that's what it would be if we granted the variance, correct?
The orange line you're saying is. All right.
Those are the plots, so the properties.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's the line, the current lot line.
You can go back one
Sure.
slide. Yes, on this one. This is showing what it would be with the variance.
Yes, and this dark purple line is without the variance. It's only 2 feet.
Is that Vinton or that's the back of the property?
This is the front and this is the rear.
In the rear, it would have to go to the back of that line without the variance. The black
Yeah,
line.
30 feet, correct.
Could you put things that have to be a duplex? I mean, would it work with a single family?
So so I think so the request and the variance, we have to be careful because when C allows different housing types, we would look at it all as one, but technically it would be, if you guys approve the variance, it would be single family to anything up to allowed in that district.
It would be single family what?
So remember duplex, triplex, they all fall under single family based on state building code. So for us in the code, when we wrote the UDO, it's single family. So from triplex all the way from single family detached all the way up to triplex, that's all single family. So to answer your question Chairman Dryden's question would be, yes, someone could do a single family detached home, but I guess with this variance, someone could also do a duplex also. Triplex also. Because all we are doing, this request was just to modify those required yards and setbacks. Actually, they're all setbacks now, sorry.
Yeah, the way we were looking at it is basically a variance was required to build on it, period. And we, as long as it's a use permitted, we don't, didn't really see a problem with it as long as you could meet the setbacks that they were requesting to be varied.
Without taking into consideration the spirit of the makeup of the neighborhood, right?
So I think we're back into this. We don't take, yeah, we can't look at what's in the neighborhood. All we can do is, because I guess to say, because in theory, a homeowner that's meaning, let's just say they didn't need a variance at all. A homeowner could tear down their existing home and build whatever they want as long as they're in compliance with the standards.
But it's consistent with surrounding residential development as that's the fact that taken into consideration in the finance effects.
So for us, it's residential. So that's consistent. So residential use is consistent with what's in the neighborhood. Let's not think about because I think what happens is people they get caught up on the type. What we are saying is residential. So if, for example, if you are in 1C and we look at it and it's all residential and you're doing a residential use, we are saying you're consistent with if someone says, I don't like X type of being built, that's not what staff can get into.
Right, it's because it's two things, Gary. It's the residential, meaning that it can be single family, it could be duplex, it could be triplex, as long as it fits within the setbacks of the property. And so with this variance, it can fit a duplex. It would also fit a single family home. Triplex might be pushing it. a little, but the zoning looks at it as just a single family neighborhood. Because that's what the zoning is, a single family, but single family also includes duplexes and triplexes now.
No, I definitely follow that. It's just in reading that line on number 14, it's just not consistent with surrounding residential development. It honestly found as if it's not in line with the type of development that's happening, not just residential development, but I get it. Look, I know that district all too well, I get it.
Okay. Okay, any other questions for staff? All right, Mr. Garcia, do you have a presentation?
Yeah, I do.
Okay. We'll hear that now.
If you like, you can come stand. here.
Okay.
I have it up. You can just press that arrow to change it.
Okay.
And then the red one can point if you wanted to.
Okay. Good morning or good afternoon. My name is Giovanni Luna Garcia, and my variance request presentation just outlines the things that in our request. So the property overview, it is located at 2033 Vinton Street in Charlotte, North Carolina. The combined lot size approximately 3,600 square feet. Lot depth approximately 49 feet. The lot width is approximately 74 feet. It is a legally non-conforming lot. This is a survey of what it looks like currently. It was two properties that were divided, but we're working on combining them. The site constraints, the front setbacks are 17 feet. The required setbacks for the rear are 30 feet. The combined total is 47, which leaves a lot depth of, or the lot depth is 49, so the 47 would leave only 2 feet to build on. And this is a proposal with the front setbacks and the rear setbacks. My basis for approval was this: the lot is shallow and uniquely constrained due to its size and historic lot configuration, which limits the ability to meet standard setback requirements. The hardship is not self-created, as the lot was established prior to current zoning standards, and existing conditions were not altered by the applicant. The proposed setbacks allow for reasonable residential use of the property while maintaining a modest building footprint within zoning limits. And the proposed development remains consistent with the character of the surrounding area and does not negatively impact adjacent properties. And that would be it.
Okay, any questions?
So what Garcia, the units are correct for sale.
The owner is yet to tell me what they're for.
Sorry?
The owner is yet to tell me what he's gonna use them for, because I'm building this for my client, yeah.
You're just the builder.
Yeah.
And just to note, you know, the city doesn't regulate for sale or for rent in
I
terms
was
of.
just curious.
Yeah.
I understand. Just curious.
That last bullet, the proposed development remains consistent with the character of the surrounding area and does not negatively impact adjacent properties. Do you have a visualization of the current neighborhood besides the Google Street, but
No, I don't currently
visualization of
have
the surrounding area?
Well, she showed us, remember, two pictures, one from Google Maps, and then she actually took
I was more
Oh.
so speaking particularly of the surrounding.
the surrounding.
Yeah,
There might be a little bit of a surrounding. Yeah, I don't know.
avenues.
Thank you for your brevity.
Yes. Steph, I'm, and you might not know the answer to this. I'm just curious. When this was, they subdivided the lot
It was,
long ago and far away, and then they put a house right in the middle of the subdivided lot.
so the original lot, if you were to go back to our presentation that had the legacy, the like historical tax map on it.
Right.
It was all one lot back in before the legacy zoning ordinance. So before 1985, it was
Right.
all one lot. The house was built in 1921. So the house predates zoning requirements altogether. And
So it was on the original 2 lot. I mean, it was.
it was on the original, well, it was originally one single lot is what the
Okay.
house was on. Then later somehow by deed, don't know exactly how they divided the property. Don't know how or why, but it was done in violation of the zoning requirements. So to them recombining it with the proposed recombination plat actually fixes the zoning violation to take it back to its original configuration.
Okay. That's very weird. To subdivide a lot and then build a house right in the middle of it, it's kind of weird.
I think what happened was that the subdivision happened after the lot.
Oh, after the
Yeah,
lot.
because
That's
the lot, like you said, it was that map from our tax map is from 1985.
Okay.
The house was built in 1921. So the subdivision happened sometime after 1985.
Got you. Okay, any other questions for staff or Mr. Luna? And we have someone here to speak in opposition to this, am I correct? Okay. Thank you, Mr. Luna. You may step down. All right, sir, if you will step up and I will swear you in, please. Okay. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the evidence you shall give to the board in this action shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
And if you would please state your name and spell it for the court reporter?
Name is Brent Kubitschek. That's Brent, and then Kubitschek.
Okay, sir, we're ready for your presentation.
Sure. So I am the owner of the Fairmont property. And if you go back to the original GIS map at the very beginning, yeah, that one. So where you see N1C, that is my property. It's also a small property and has a large backyard. And for us, this adversely affects our property in several ways. Now, they mentioned this is a 2-story duplex. So this would be 2 stories within 10 feet of our backyard right here. And in addition, this is we bought this for a current rental and as well as a new development project for ourselves. And if you notice down south of ours, that property, it was recently appraised at $360,000. It is 1,600 square feet. Our property, similar to theirs, is about 800 square feet. So if we were to build a similar type of property to what our southern neighbors there have already been built, that means that backyard for us would be looking down Manhattan style from 2 different properties, our own and theirs, both being 2 stories tall. So this directly affects the assessment value, the resale value for our property, if and when we actually build anything on our own area. And that's not anything to say for light pollution, noise pollution, density, just any, all the different effects. And then for 10 feet, that's roughly half the size of a pickup truck. So they're literally right there on the fence line for these 2 properties. There is no wiggle room back there. So for us, this really affects us directly more than one way. Is just as a rental or as a resale, it gets more difficult to pitch this property to anyone if it's directly looking down like that. So really that's our main area of concern. Isn't so much the redevelopment per se, it's just the fact that property this size, this close to our property line really affects anything we try to do with it.
Okay.
The property itself that is it brand new?
2019, they built it in 2019. And it's
2 stories.
1,600 square feet and ours is about half that.
2 stories?
I can't remember. I think it is, yeah.
He's pointing to the one south of town.
The one to the left of it, the one to the left of it, that one.
Correct. That property is about 1,600. Let me see if I can find this.
But
Is it 2 stories?
I believe so, yes.
with the way it is at the moment, the builders, the people contesting for this variance can build right now within the constraints of the UDO, correct? They can build within the constraints. They just want this
No,
variance.
the lot is unbuildable.
Oh, I thought they just wanted this variance in order to.
They can keep it as is. They can renovate the existing footprint, but they couldn't expand on it.
That's correct. Leaving the other one empty.
Well, they're gonna have to combine the lots if they want to build anything, because right now it's non-conforming.
Right,
No,
and that's what I'm
it's not
saying.
happening. It's been there since 1920s, and if we don't approve it, there will still be this single family house on it.
Just to follow up with you, this is a one-story building to the south of us. The larger redevelopment in 2019, it is one story.
My point is by combining the lots though, according to the UDO, they only have 2 feet to build between the properties to build on. With the variance, we're expanding it by giving them more grace.
So, Mr. Young, so what Ms. Sun is saying, I think there's 2 points here. So, for example, I guess to say, for example, if you guys don't approve the variance, someone could go back and modify the existing home and you know, build it up, get it back to code, and that would be allowed to remain. Or someone has said, I've put all the setbacks from the UDO in there. I got 2 feet to build. I need a variance. And if you would grant it, then they'd be able to develop, and you're right, they'd be able to develop under the standards of the UDO.
Right. If they combine them, they could develop under the standards of the UDO.
Correct.
But they
With the
won't.
variance. But if they don't get the variance, you can't build a home at 2
Can't do
feet,
nothing.
which is unbuildable.
You can only, if you don't get the variance, you can still just renovate whatever footprint that is.
Well, any other questions? Well, yes, you may.
Brent Kubicek.
And are your concerns primarily with respect to the value of your home being impacted by the variance?
Yes.
Do you have any expertise in the area of real estate and property evaluation?
Yes. So I've been an investor over 15 years. So I own several dozen properties here in Charlotte and elsewhere. And yeah, we've been doing this for quite a long time.
And do you have any land use considerations with respect to the variance, other than the valuation of the property?
Land use and what?
Land use with respect to how the variance might impact you geographically, topographically, you know, with respect to location, anything other than the valuation of your property?
Not so much, no.
So I don't know, you know, that I necessarily want to object to this witness's testimony as an expert, but I would, from staff's perspective, say that I don't know that you're presenting any direct evidence other than your opinion with respect to the valuation. Is that correct?
Well, I guess 2 things come into play here. One, we are currently renting this property, and the large backyard is one of the things we pitch forward with my property management company. And this goes directly to what we intend to do with it in the future, whether that's selling or renting. This is something that we have found, especially as Charlotte continues to grow faster and faster, that large backyards are something that people want more and more, and especially on these types of lots where it's a small width for my lot and for his. The backyard is one of the biggest pitches. That's where the space is. And if it's literally overshadowed by a larger property that they don't have, where the renters or the buyers would not have the privacy that they're looking for, then that is something that directly affects and has affected in previous instances, not relevant here, but it has been something I've seen dozens of times in my experience. So it's one where my property is currently assessed at about $150,000. The one I pointed to at the very bottom down here is roughly 360. So a lot of that goes to the property itself, but it's also the fact that they have no overgrowth, no viewing angles of privacy that would occur for my property if this were to go through. So people just naturally want a backyard. And I recognize that's not evidence per se, but it is a statistical thing that we have seen through the rent values with my property manager over years and years. The properties that we have targeted that have the foliage that would, who knows how that works out with the lighting and the shadows, if they're built a 2-story building, that's the type of thing that people want in their backyards for their kids and elsewhere. And I'm just worried that building such a large property so close to our line of property line is really going to have a poor effect on our ability to rent or sell this property.
I'm having a problem with your argument. And my problem is that 1222 Fairmont is in fact 2 stories. It's a story and a half. I'm looking at the picture of it. It's brand new. And if I'm looking at this picture right here, it in fact is closer to your backyard than the house that's being proposed on Vinton Street.
So if we could, we'll need to bring that up on the screen for all the board members to see.
So basically, it's more the backyard itself. So the backyard itself, when people want privacy in their backyards, and there's 2 properties that you can see at the very bottom down there that have already been built that are the larger size. Those have fences in between them. Right now, it's mostly foliage in the back of our property. There are no fences. There's nothing back there. I think there's a chain link fence is what it is. Chain link fence and foliage. So the pictures, I think I have it. The picture for the backyard for our property, they've put a large wooden fence on to the southern side to make that privacy between us and our neighbors to the south. Does that make sense? Yes. There's
a 6-foot fence or something.
6 or 8, something like that. I can show you the pictures.
That's fine.
Yeah. So there's a large wooden fence that separates our 2 properties that they built backwards into.
Gotcha.
So that gives the privacy that I'm speaking about here between us and our neighbors down south of us. There's nothing like that that would be between us and them. There's nothing separating that. And they're 10 feet and 2 stories.
7.
So that's really the issue here is we would have no privacy between our neighbors. It would be even, the tallest in the area.
And make sure I'm understanding your other argument that the building that is on that property we're talking about, 2033 Vinton, is not very valuable. I assume it's less valuable than the one that you own on Fairmont.
It's roughly the same. Ours was also built in the early 1920s.
It's in better shape though.
Yeah, we've kept it up to date. We've kept it running.
So is it your argument that a new home would diminish your value of your home more than leaving the house as is that's there?
Yes. So building a new property that's that tall, that's in the backyard, it would make it harder for us to rent because people wouldn't have the same privacy in their own backyard. That would be the issue. And especially if and when we try to sell this to another developer such as them or anybody else, or to rent it out and develop it ourselves, anything we do with that backyard, it would have this 2-story overhang looking directly at the backyard. So in the future, whatever we decide to do, that renting or selling, it would have a deleterious effect.
Would a 6-foot fence help that issue?
Yes. 6 foot, 10 foot, just depends on how tall the thing is, but just putting that foliage, that fencing back there where people can have the privacy in their own backyard.
But yeah, the maximum height is 6 feet.
Maximum height in a rear yard is 8 feet, maximum height in side yards is 6 feet, and the maximum height of fences in front yard is 5 feet.
You're looking at there for some.
I believe is this your property?
Yes.
So you just asked me to bring up what were you looking at?
I'm one more down, 1222. Right there. That's the house that's next.
So yeah, they built backwards into their property.
So if you go up, Crystal, in between the 2 houses, can we look down that lot line? Because I want to see the fence.
You could kind of see it just 2 seconds ago. If you go to the other side.
Sorry, I'm having issues with the thing.
Yeah, where you just were on the right side of the property, you can kind of see it looking backwards in there.
So go a little bit more.
Go back that direction. There you go.
Okay.
So that's what surrounds their property, their backyard.
Okay,
Rebuttal? Do you want to give
yes,
opportunity for
rebuttal, Mr. Luna Garcia, do you have any rebuttal that you would like to, or would you
would you consider, sir, putting what did you say the back lot would be their side yard, right? Or would be?
It would
back-
be their rear, the applicant's rear yard, and you could do a fence up to 8 feet in the rear
So
yard.
would you consider placing an 8-foot fence to shield the property?
Work for you, sir.
Would that work for you if they put an 8-foot fence there? All right,
I think we
Any-
can ask Mr.
Kubitschek.
Kubitschek.
to step down.
Yes, okay, you may step down, thank you. Mr. Luna, you may step up here and we'll get you on the record as, and it would be a condition of the zoning that you put the fence there. An
Okay.
8-foot,
Condition of the variance.
a condition for the variance, I'm sorry. That you put an 8-foot fence there to block the neighboring property. So you are okay with that?
Yeah, we are okay with
That is something that you would do?
You can make that.
Yeah, just the
decision.
backlight lot.
Decision we have with the owner.
Yeah.
So the city initially was approving this variance, but it was being approved without the requirement of a fence. Is that correct?
Yes.
That's correct. So we're saying we want to require them to add a fence to appease a neighbor who was against it.
I think we want to be, staff is not requiring the fence. I'm assuming the
The
board.
we're
But it makes,
requiring
not speaking for Mr. Wright,
as an option.
board is requesting.
Okay, so we're saying we'll approve.
Well, no, we're not saying we're approved. We're just saying it as an option. Would he agree to put a fence there?
We wouldn't be making that suggestion unless that was a requirement we would place in order to approve it. So that's why I was saying we're requiring this landowner to now add a fence to appease person who owns a house that's in the vicinity. I can't even say a neighbor, but a person who owns a house.
Let's not say appease. I think as you guys, the board is, an adjacent property owner has brought a concern, and obviously to make, kind of like we do with all variances, is we try to address concerns of neighborhood, and obviously one option. Now, the applicant does not have to, if he does not want to do the fence, he can say, board, I disagree with this, and then he takes his chances with how you guys vote.
And the ordinance does, and state statutes do give the Board of Adjustment authority to implement conditions if the parties agree to those conditions.
Right.
Correct.
And Mr. Young, and it's not uncommon, we haven't seen it lately, but it's not uncommon that we've had, when you see staff and step out with other attorneys, we've had to,
Right.
someone's come up with something and they come up, and it's not uncommon to say, hey, to do, if it's gonna get this approved, we're willing to consider this.
Because, I mean, okay, well,
I don't like to throw, I'm the last one who wants to throw expense on top of a developer. I can't tell you how much I hate to do that. But I do believe it's a nice solution. It's not too expensive. It's a fairly small backyard. So I don't think it's draconian to ask someone to do that to resolve a neighborhood situation. That's why I suggested it.
No, that's understandable. I just know in this particular area, this is not far from Dundee, if I'm not mistaken. There are houses that have similar situations where that appeasement wasn't met. I'm sorry, that solution wasn't met, and things were still played out as they were. But, you know, that's something the board agrees to as a majority. I'm all for.
okay, any other discussion, any other rebuttal, anything anybody else needs to say? Before the board goes into deliberations.
Just a quick reminder to use your microphones.
Anybody has anything else to say before we go into our deliberations? Okay, yes, sir,
I just want to clarify, if possible, that the fence is a privacy fence and not chain link or something to that effect.
And I guess that is correct. You guys will have to, because for staff, when it just says fence, we do our review. whatever shows up as a fence, we will accept. So if privacy fence is something you want, then opaque privacy fence will have to be clarified
Okay.
in the
all right.
motion.
Good point. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, all right.
Can we address that with the applicant?
Are you okay with sir, with a wooden fence, a privacy fence as opposed to chain link?
I have a question. Does it have to be a fence or can it be like some kind of like trees or foliage or something to cover that? Like, does it have to be a fence?
Well, if you're questioning, I mean, that's not for you to answer.
I can't get, staff can't answer that.
That would be more of a dialogue between these two, wouldn't it?
Right now, what we're requesting is a privacy fence
Okay, yeah,
to block the two-story
okay,
duplex from overshadowing his yard. That's
okay.
what, that would be the ask that the board has at this point in time. If you don't want to do that, then you can offer some other solutions. I don't know that plantings would do the same thing because they're not going to be 6 feet tall to start with.
Okay. Yeah, we are willing to add the privacy fence at 3
Okay.
feet.
All right. So the applicant has said that he would agree to the condition of a privacy fence approximately 6 feet tall, 8 feet tall, I'm sorry, 8 foot tall. All right, let's, now, anybody else have anything, comments to make before we go into deliberations and talk about this as a board?
Can we specify that that's 8 foot tall in the rear yard? I don't want to give the
Okay.
assumption that they can do 8 feet in the side yard, which would be a violation of
No,
zoning
8 feet tall
requirements.
for the rear yard, okay. Thank you for that. I want to get the verbiage right. I want both people to be happy. I want, if this is what you want to do with the property, I want that to work, but I also want to accommodate those people who are not happy with this two-story build. And I mean, I can understand that.
I mean, if that was the case, this gentleman should have the right to deliberate if he wants to put shrubbery, because I was gonna recommend trees in the back, but I mean, if we're gonna force the fence upon them, then by all means.
Well, that's what we're going to talk about. Right now, he's agreed to the fence. As a board, we can talk about, and if you want to offer some other options.
Do you prefer a tree or a fence
Hmm,
solution?
I mean, I would prefer the trees, but if the fence is the condition that I have to meet, then I'm willing to do that.
Thanks.
That's cool. Which,
It's good of you.
yeah.
If you have a preference.
Do you have preference?
I don't,
I don't
think staff has a preference because,
No,
oh,
He's talking about these two.
I don't think this is an issue, though, that we get to weigh in.
No,
on,
No, that's
neighbor
them two.
witness, but I think it's just the board's decision at this point, what type of screening, if
Right.
any, you're gonna do, and implementing that as a condition.
Well, I think the tree,
don't-
I think that this discretion between the trees and the fence is only, I think that's applicable conversation between this gentleman and that gentleman right there, because whatever they agree to is what the board would recommend. Well, we would agree to variance with this condition, and if they say, well, if this gentleman says, well, I'm fine with trees being the barrier, we would say we would grant the variance with the trees in the background, 6 foot or 8 foot trees in the background.
I would recommend that we allow, if we're gonna do that, let's allow them to recess a way they can
Right.
talk.
So
And
they can
that way
talk.
we're not, because again, from staff's point of view, I don't want to put, I don't have an issue going either way, but obviously we have to be careful because if you go with, again, from a professional point of view, it's when we go with trees, here's what happens with trees. Trees get old, they get sick, they start growing, they grow on someone else's lawn, someone decides to whack the tree. Duke Energy comes, there's these whole voice of variance, but also with the fence, but also I want to be careful. I don't want to say to build a single family home because the code doesn't require to say to get the variance from staff, you have to do either or.
Then another consideration is the space that's available as well. We're talking about basically 10
It is
feet
10
between
feet,
the
there's
building
no-
and the property line. Is that enough room for a tree to survive and thrive? And none of us in this room are urban forestry experts.
Right.
I'm okay giving 10 minutes though, but
Yeah.
for them to get their heads together and sit down.
Yeah, let's do 10 minutes and you guys talk and decide what you think would be best for your developments. taking into consideration the 10 and all that is involved in a tree and then a fence. So if you guys want to step out and talk about that for 10 minutes and then let us know what you've come up with,
Okay.
we will, so we'll adjourn for 10 minutes.
to an agreement, so I don't let one of them, I guess, the applicant speak.
Okay, all right. Will the applicant step forward? Tell us what your decision is, please.
We have come to an agreement of the 8-foot fence in the rear.
Okay, all right. Okay, 8-foot tall fence in the rear. Okay,
Yeah.
all right. The board, the applicants have come to an agreement that, the applicant will agree to an 8-foot privacy fence for the rear yard, to separate the properties. So with that agreement and that, condition, do I hear a motion to approve?
Motion to approve with condition.
Condition. Okay, so Mr. Shea has made a motion to approve with the condition of an 8-foot tall privacy fence for the rear yard. Do I hear a second?
Sun second.
Thank you, Ms. Sun. Mr. Shea,
Say yes.
Ms. Sun,
Sun.
Mr. Young,
Young, yes.
Dryden, yes. Okay. So the variance is approved.
Okay.
Thank you, gentlemen. I appreciate your time and your efforts to solve this problem. All right, now the finding of facts and conclusions of law. John, where do we put this condition? As number 26?
6.
Yeah, probably 26, and then last time page. We had the condition also added the conclusions of law, right?
Correct. So number 5, the conclusion of law.
Okay, so it goes to number 5 for conclusions of law and it's number 26 under finding of facts. Okay? And that, so do I hear a motion to approve the finding of facts? No.
Two corrections.
Oh, sorry.
Number 5. John, tell me what you're trying to say. The 2 lots, comma, as they are currently, comma, is a zone violation. I assume you're saying the 2 lots presently are the two lots.
The 2 lots in the current configuration of 2 lots is a zoning violation is what
I
we're
love
trying to
that.
say.
Okay, so
that.
can we change that to,
Beautiful.
I'm not sure I can say it again. What did I just say? The 2 lots in the current configuration is a zoning violation.
Got that?
current configuration?
My second correction, number 19, something I don't have to worry about. The property owner is taking remedial action for recombing. I assume you mean recombining.
Oh, yes. Which one, what number was that in?
19.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah, recombine. Isn't that how you spell it?
Recombining, there's I-N-I-N-G.
Well, mine has ing there.
Yeah.
Sounds like.
Okay. All right, now do I hear a motion to approve the finding of facts and conclusions of law as amended and with the condition?
Motion approved with changes, with amendments
And conditions.
and conditions.
All right, Mr. Shea, thank you. Do I hear a second?
I second.
Thank you, Mr. Young. Mr. Young,
Young, yes.
Ms. Sun,
Sun, yes.
Mr. Shea,
Say yes.
Dryden, yes. All right, that concludes the business part of our meeting. We do need to approve the minutes. If you have looked over them, please. And if I have a motion to approve minutes.
Motion approved.
All right,
One second.
Mr. All right, minutes, and it's Mr. Shea and Ms. Sun. All right, Mr. Young,
Young, yes.
Shea,
Say yes.
Sun,
Sun, yes.
and Dryden, yes. And then, so that concludes the meeting. Thank you very much for joining us today.
I believe we have an
We
announcement.
have an announcement, yes.
I want to say it's been a pleasure working with you, everybody. I've been, just to let you guys know, next month, John will be handling the meeting. I'm taking another position in another city out in the Midwest, and I've been made Director of Development Services, so.
Midwest.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
I win $5 though, because I knew that was coming.
So, and I want to say it's been fun working with everybody, but